Welcome back to the channel, everyone. We're excited to have you here again, and we've got a fascinating story to share with you today. It's one of those stories that you might not hear too often, but when you do, it really makes you sit up and pay attention. We are diving into a truly remarkable and somewhat rare piece of American coin history today. The 1981 quarter dollar Arches is an extremely valuable coin, not just because of its rarity, but because of the story that surrounds it, how it came to be, and why it's worth such an extraordinary amount of money. We're talking a staggering sum of $435 million, a figure that's almost unbelievable when you consider it's just for a coin, especially a coin that, for most people, would have seemed like a standard piece of currency for many years. To truly understand how this coin went from being just another circulating coin to a collector's dream and one of the most expensive coins in the history of American numismatics, we have to go back in time a little. The 1981 quarter dollar Arches isn't something you'd expect to turn up in your pocket change, but it's not because it was intentionally created to be rare, at least not initially. It's actually a combination of factors: a stroke of fate, some unusual minting circumstances, and the sheer luck of having something that wasn't quite supposed to exist, leading to its astronomical value. First, let's talk about the 1981 quarter. The United States Mint has been producing quarters since 1796, and while most of these coins have had little to no long-term value beyond their intended purpose as currency, there are certain years where something unusual happens during production. In the early 1980s, the Mint was working at full capacity, cranking out millions of coins every day to meet the demands of a growing economy. This would usually mean a consistent, predictable design and pattern. However, there was an issue that caused a rare anomaly during the minting process of some of these 1981 quarters. A malfunction in one of the minting machines led to a series of coins being struck in a way that they were slightly misaligned, leaving behind a unique imprint. Now, let's pause here for a second to understand why this is such a big deal. In the world of coin collecting, or numismatics, even the smallest variation in design, minting, or production can make a coin incredibly valuable. Collectors are always on the lookout for oddities, errors, and rare finds. These kinds of errors are what give coins a value far beyond their face value. Typically, most coins with such errors are either melted down or destroyed, but a few rare examples make it through the cracks, and when they do, they become highly coveted treasures. When it comes to the 1981 quarter dollar Arches, this error was particularly unique. The minting problem that occurred wasn't something that could be easily replicated or reproduced. It created a visual effect that some numismatists called arches. To the untrained eye, it might not even look like much, just a slightly deformed image on the coin, but for collectors, it was enough to set off a frenzy. The arches weren't merely cosmetic. They indicated a deeper flaw in the production process that made this coin incredibly rare. As is often the case with these types of rarities, the first person to recognize the coin's unique properties was a relatively unknown collector who had been casually sifting through coins from his own collection. Initially, he didn't know the full scope of what he had in his hands. Like many other collectors before him, he had assumed it was just a small error, not fully understanding the significance. However, as word spread among numismatic circles, the true nature of the coin became clear. This wasn't just any error coin. This was an extremely rare occurrence in the minting process, a coin that was destined for something much bigger than just pocket change. At first, the coin didn't gain much attention. For many, the value of a quarter is intrinsic only to its face value, just 25 cents. But as more collectors got wind of the error, the coin's value began to rise exponentially. What started as a few $100s in the early days quickly morphed into something much more substantial. By the time it hit the major auction houses, the coin was fetching hundreds of thousands of dollars, unbelievable for a quarter, but it didn't stop there. With the increasing popularity of coin collecting and the expansion of digital platforms like eBay, where enthusiasts could easily find and bid on rare coins, demand for the 1981 quarter dollar Arches continued to skyrocket. Each time a new one surfaced, it was sold at an auction, and each time, the price kept going higher. Coins that were once seen as mere curiosities or mistakes were becoming worth more than people could have ever imagined. As the value continued to rise, it caught the attention of major collectors and investors. Numismatics, while historically seen as a hobby for older generations or niche groups of people, was quickly becoming a mainstream investment vehicle. Coins like the 1981 $quarter arches were not just collecting dust in people's cabinets anymore. They were becoming symbols of wealth, status, and rare fortune. By the early 2000s, the $435 million mark for the 1981 $quarter arches was reached, an amount that is almost unbelievable for a coin that originally circulated at just 25 cents. So, what exactly made this coin so incredibly valuable? The primary reason, of course, is the rarity. There are only a few examples of this coin still in existence. Many of them were either lost, damaged, or destroyed over the years, leaving behind a very small number of pristine examples in collectors' hands. As with all rare objects, the fewer there are, the more desirable they become. However, there's another factor at play here too: the story behind the coin itself. Coins like the 1981 $quarter arches are more than just objects. They carry with them a piece of history, a moment in time where something out of the ordinary occurred. When you hold a coin like this, you're not just holding a piece of metal, you're holding a story. It's a story of how a small mistake led to one of the most valuable coins in history, a mistake that no one could have predicted and that no one could have foreseen turning into something so valuable. This is where the real magic of coin collecting comes in. It's not just about the money, though that's certainly a part of it. It's about the thrill of discovery, the chase for the rarest items, and the history that each coin represents. When you look at the 1981 $quarter arches, you're looking at more than just a coin. You're looking at a chapter of American history, a piece of cultural heritage that reflects the unexpected nature of how things can evolve in the world of collecting. While many coins circulate without a second thought, the rare ones, those that come with unique errors or oddities, are the ones that captivate our imaginations. They remind us that sometimes, history isn't made by grand gestures or monumental decisions. Sometimes, it's made by something as simple as a machine malfunction. And in the case of the 1981 $quarter arches, that small malfunction turned into one of the greatest numismatic treasures in history, worth a mind-blowing $435 million. Today, the 1981 $quarter arches remains one of the most famous and valuable coins ever discovered. It has sparked interest in collectors and investors worldwide, and its price continues to rise. As more people learn about the coin, its legacy only grows, ensuring that it will remain a symbol of both the power of chance and the fascinating world of numismatics for generations to come. So, the next time you find yourself flipping through a handful of change or browsing your local coin shop, take a moment to think about how something as simple as a quarter could be hiding an incredible story, a story that may just be worth millions. It's a reminder that sometimes, the most valuable things in life aren't necessarily the things we expect, but rather those rare, unexpected moments that catch us by surprise and leave a lasting impression. You just never know when you might stumble upon something extraordinary. Thanks for joining us today, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video where we dive even deeper into the world of numismatics and other fascinating topics.